Welcome to another episode of Live Life Courageously. Today, we are talking about the courage to figure out the how instead of the why. Allow me to introduce our guest today, Dana Garrett. She is a passionate author and digital creator. She lives in South Louisiana with her Eagle Scout husband and two joyfully energetic kids who inspire her every day. After her daughter's diagnosis of Coffin-Siris syndrome and autism, Dana felt led to advocate for kids with disabilities and their families through writing. She developed a children's book series highlighting nonverbal kids and their siblings titled Nat and Wyatt's Adventures. Dana spends her fleeting free time enjoying the great outdoors and leading impromptu dance parties wherever music is playing. Her work is rooted in a desire to encourage others to embrace differences, advocate for acceptance, and believe that everyone belongs. Welcome, Dana.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, before we do a deep dive, though, can you tell me a little bit about who you are behind the bio?
That is me. We dance in the kitchen at night. We live in South Louisiana. But I have my husband and our two kids. We lived in Texas for about 10 years for his job, and we moved back home where I'm from, and we're just loving it here. And as soon as I moved back here, I noticed that there really wasn't a lot of resources for special needs kids as far as like community and then as far as the books go, we just couldn't find books that looked like, that had a hero like Elena in it. And yeah, as soon as we had her diagnosis and all of those things, I really got to work and thought I need to do something more than just the caregiving part. So yeah, that's how we're down 2 books and, we're just trying to advocate and educate people on autism acceptance. Awareness is great, but the acceptance part is our main goal.
That's amazing. I know that when we talked before, you were talking to me about how hard it was to get a diagnosis for Elena. And if you can just kind of walk us through that, how you knew that you needed help, and yet you were trying to find out how to help her to flourish. And how did you get rid of the why? I'm sure that that was very difficult to ignore the why at points.
So at first, if you talk to any parent that has a child with autism, the diagnosis comes with a grieving process, and the grieving process is very similar to when you're grieving a lost loved one. And so I went through that first. So all the steps of grief, all the whys, all the questions. And I got to the point where that this can't be the end of our story. This can't be it, where we just question it forever, her whole life. We just question why. I just really felt led to start asking how. How can I help her be her best self? And how can I help other people that are in the same situation? Because it can be so isolating. Your family and friends don't really understand what you're going through. Not that they don't want to, but it's just really hard to look um, through the lens that caregivers look through, which is also a blessing. And so we went from I went from why to how, and I started researching different types of therapy that could help her. So she's nonverbal. So I knew she needed some type of stimulation, speech therapy, physical therapy. We did aquatic therapy. So we did physical therapy in the water because she loved water. We noticed she loved really big dogs, like at dog parks and stuff. So we tried horseback riding and she absolutely loved that. So it was a lot of trial and error, what she likes and paying attention to what she likes. And through that we found swimming is really her passion. She loves water. She loves swimming, and those were the hows that path we started to take with her was how do we set her up for her to be her best self in life. And with school, it started out she did mainstream school and she was in a secluded classroom, and that was great for her. And then she started having issues with that because as soon as she started to hit puberty, she started rejecting workbooks. She didn't want to touch a pencil. She was throwing a pencil across the room. So she started doing a lot of physical communication to tell us that she needed a break from it. And so we took that into account and I figured out how to homeschool her, and we bring her to a tutor, and the tutor works with her and we work with her, and we found an app to use on her AAC device, which is just like an iPad that has different icons for her. So we do tutoring with her and she's tolerating it more because, all behavior is communication, whether it's positive or negative. And that's another thing we had to do. We had to, because she's nonverbal, we had to listen to her through her behaviors. And so, yeah, she's doing really good now. She just turned 13 and she's doing so much better now that she's not in the mainstream school system. I know a lot of parents don't have that option to take them out and to try the homeschooling, but I encourage them if they are seeing any types of behaviors at school suddenly for them to one, observe and go see what's going on in the classroom if something changed. There could be a teacher that changed, or it really could just be them, like hormonally, or they're just they're burnt out from the 5 days a week all day. But yeah, yeah, the how is just what opened all the doors for us to help her, and we started seeing progress because we just that was our main question, my main question. How can we help her be happier? Because I know she's a happy girl, but when they go through things and they get frustrated, especially when they're nonverbal, they can't tell you they're frustrated. So it's through their behavior. They're telling you they're frustrated, and I try to educate all parents on that. If you see a child in public that's having a meltdown, it's not because the parents aren't parenting, it's because that's the way the child communicates. Usually it takes a few minutes, and if they have the right types of therapies in place, they can figure out how to redirect them and to come back to their center.
Yeah, you bring up an excellent point because I used to work in a pediatric emergency department, and we would have children come in with autism um, all the time, and they would be labeled as behavior issues. I was always trying to figure out, well, what is the root cause of this behavior? There is something going on. Can you tell us a little bit more about your journey to really figure out how with her behaviors? I mean, it must have been very difficult.
For sure. Yeah. And what I'll start with is what we had to figure out with her behaviors first of all, is there something physically wrong with her that she can't tell us? So if she has an earache, if she has a toothache, if she has a bladder infection, if she has a stomach ache or a headache, these are things that she's not going to point to. And sometimes, or if she's constipated, which a lot of kids with autism are because of their diets, she can't communicate, I have a headache or my stomach hurts. So that is when she has a negative behavior, that's what I go to first. I try to figure that part out. And if it's not physical, then we have to go, and we're using, like I said, well, I don't know if I said that yet, but she also uses sign language, she uses gestures, and she uses her device with an app that has buttons that she can press that have pictures and it has words on the bottom. So she has a feelings folder. Sometimes she's just sad. So I'll ask her, "Are you sad?" And she'll press the sad button. But yeah, it's trial and error. She has groomed me to be very perceptive in her behaviors. So sometimes it's, well, what time is it? Okay, she has to be hungry then because it's 12:30. If she's having this huge meltdown, maybe it's just because she wants to tell me that she's hungry and she can't tell me that. So then, through different types of parent training that I went through, they were like, always have the device by her. And then, when you're asking her, not during the meltdown, but shortly after. Are you hungry? And sometimes it could just be a yes or no button that she has to press. Does your head hurt? That happened the other day. She cried for 5 minutes straight and I was trying to figure it out and I couldn't. And I was like, she just ate, it has to be something physical because she's happy. She was happy 5 seconds ago. So I pulled up her device and I went through the yes and no's. I said, does your stomach hurt? And she tapped no. I said, do you need medicine? And she tapped yes. And I was like, okay, so we're getting closer. And I said, do you have a headache? Just out of the blue. I was like, well, do you have a headache? Because she can't tell me that. And she tapped yes. Her head hurt. So, from there, when you're asking how, it's like you either have to, if a child can't point to what's hurting, you have to figure it out like on the fly, really. And if there's no headache button, which now we have a headache button, because after that I was like, well, she was upset because she didn't have a headache button. So let's add it. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely trial and error and we're making it. And, she's had her device for 5 years now. And still there's some things that I have to prompt her for, like you need to tell me when you want to take a bath instead of having a meltdown. You need to tell me you want to go outside and throw rocks instead of just staring at me and crying. So it's a lot of prompting on my end too. It takes a lot of work with the caregiver to prompt and to remember these are the things that you have to do to help them express themselves.
So what I'm hearing you say though is those devices, although they're so helpful, they're not just set it and forget it. Because of all stages through life, she's gone in the last 5 years, she's gone through puberty now too. So there's another set of circumstances that you have to deal with. How easy
Mhm.
is it to add those additional buttons to the device?
It's easy. It's just like adding another app on your phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But like within the app, there's like a little edit icon and you click that and then you just type in the word. Like if, one of her favorite foods is pretzel. So you type in the word pretzel and a little picture icon of a pretzel pops up and you can select that one.
Oh, okay.
And they also, I let her pick too. Like, is that the pretzel picture you want? Because you can go through different ones. And yeah. And then you just press done. You pick what folder you want it to be in. And yeah. But to navigate through it is kind of hard. She has a folder for home and she has a folder for the ABA clinic she goes to. But she does it. She doesn't ever use the ABA clinic folder at home. And she never uses the home folder there. So she's in her head, she's compartmentalized. When I'm here, I use this one. When I'm at home, I talk with this one. And it really is her lifeline. It's her voice. And when she doesn't feel like using it, sometimes she doesn't. She gets annoyed if, she can't express herself with it. She'll go to YouTube Kids and she'll play a song that is more like what she wants to say. And she recently, yeah, within the last 5 years, we realize that she talks to us through songs too. And she'll play it over and over again until we acknowledge that that's what she's doing. And then I'll say, oh, okay. Are you feeling fancy today with your new bracelets? Because she'll play Fancy Nancy over and over and then once I tell her that I hear what she's saying, she moves on to something else. But it's really cute. It's really cute that she talks to us that way too.
That's beautiful. I think it's such a great bonding experience for you too that you allow her to say, "Hey, is this the pretzel that you want? Is this like
Yeah.
giving her that choice to decide, and use her creativity." And the fact that she uses songs to communicate with you too, that is just
Yeah.
that's so precious.
There's a there is a little Vampirina song when we first moved here. It's a song that's like, I had a million friends at home, um, but I don't know if my social life will survive here. And it was about moving. And yeah, it was sometimes she would like tear up while she's listening to it and look at me like, that's how I feel. But yeah, I think the song's called Me for Me. And it's like, will anyone out there like me for me? And she has those deep thoughts. We didn't know that until she started playing the songs. And so now we know. Like, when she's upset, we need to address it and talk to her about it. And that's what I do. It's kind of a shot in the dark, what exactly she wants to know. So I kind of just think about what I want to know at 12.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's a lot that you want to know. Uh,
I just
yeah.
saw a big list in front of my head, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I still have questions. Same questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's starting to have those mature thoughts.
Mhm.
We try
Wow,
to address those too.
that's good.
Yeah.
Speaking of acceptance versus awareness, can you
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about the how between them? Like, we have all this autism awareness. We
Yep.
are actually taping this on March 17th, which is what day you told me?
It's Profound Autism Day.
So March 17th is Profound Autism Day. We're actually taping it today. We're going to be airing this the first Tuesday of April, which is
Acceptance Day.
there you go. And also, April is going to be Autism Awareness Month. So lots of surrounding autism awareness. How do we move from awareness to acceptance in our communities, in our families, and our
Yeah.
relationships?
I would say awareness is great. Educate yourself what autism looks like, what these kids go through daily, what their symptoms are. Sometimes people don't realize it's just a symptom that they have that upsets them or excites them. But to move from just being aware to acceptance is, I mean, it's really like inviting them at the playground to swing, giving them a high five, inviting them to your birthday party, sitting next to them in public or talking to them because, these kids are nonverbal, some of them, but they understand everything that we're saying. So just acknowledge them, talk to them, invite them, include them, and that's where the real acceptance is. It's not just being aware and looking afar like, "Oh, okay, yeah, like they have autism." It might be like, "Oh, that's a cool bike," you know? "I bet you can ride that fast," or, "Do you use that device to talk?" You know? Or, "Can you give a high five?" Ask them if they can. "Can you give a high five? Do you know sign language?" There's some questions, to prompt them. A lot of their therapies, they're prompted. So it's good to talk to them and ask them and see how they react. See if they want to talk about it. Some of them don't. But going from just being aware to actually conversing with them and just not being intimidated. They want to be talked to, they want to be included. There was a little boy at a martial arts studio here, and they were kind of highlighting him, and he's nonverbal with his device. And the kid said, "What would you like us to do, like to include you
Mhm.
or to accept you?" They said, "What would you like us to do to accept you?" And on his device, he typed, "Include me," and that's it. Like just
Me.
yeah. When there's a couple of kids, huddling somewhere, just call them over. You don't even really have to say anything. I mean, if you know their name, great, but just call them over like you would any other kid. I mean, kids make friends out of strangers every day, and they just need to be included too.
That just include me. I love that.
Yeah,
Just include me.
that's it.
It
Simple.
sounds like the name of a book.
Include me. Yep. Or like I need a hat or a t-shirt. Like just include me.
Just include me. I love that. Speaking of books, can you tell us a little bit about yours?
Sure. So the series is called Elena and Wyatt's Adventures. The first one's Rare Gator Rescue. So we live close to New Orleans. So it's set at Audubon Zoo and they go on a little adventure and Elena uses her device and Wyatt is her little brother sidekick in real life and in the book. And yeah, they go on it. on an adventure to rescue a little gator
Aw.
that got lost. And they go and they visit other animals. And there's a zookeeper that wants to know about Elena and why she's not talking. And so she explains it to him with her device in the book. Yeah. And then her brother's doing silly stuff on the side. Um,
Brothers, they always do silly stuff, right?
yeah. Yes. And there's meltdowns in the book. Like, I don't gatekeep. I'm not, trying to glorify it or say they're superpowers. So
Mhm.
she has a meltdown in the book, and Wyatt goes through some techniques to help calm her down. And
Aw.
yeah, yeah. So that's, kids with different abilities are the heroes in my books. And Wyatt he's kind of like the little guy that's helps her through, like her little friend that helps her through. So I hope it helps kids like Elena see themselves in a book, but I also hope it educates, you know, neurotypical kids. I hope it educates them what it looks like to befriend someone with different abilities. I think storytelling at the elementary level is the best place to start because the sooner they learn, the more we can prevent bullying and exclusion and all those things that come with just not knowing and not being aware. So yeah.
It's
Yeah.
better for everybody too, in that if they just are not afraid.
Mhm.
Because children and adults, we're afraid when we see somebody's acting different that we don't understand, you know? I think
And making
we've all had that experience at the grocery store where, like, there's a meltdown and you're like, "Oh, dear Lord, what do I do?"
what do I do? Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You can keep walking. I think the worst thing would probably be to like stop and stare, you
Yeah.
know. I would say you could ask like, "Hey, do you need help?" Helping redirect them or anything. You never know. A mom might say, "Please, yes. Can you go grab that ball over there?" Or like,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think that like just through the storytelling, even the parents that are reading it to the kids, it'll help them be more familiar, you know, and help
Yeah. I
educate
think so
them.
too. We need to ease the fear around behaviors that children do.
Right. Yeah. Well, it can be scary. Like when they're really in the middle of a meltdown, they can be aggressive and they can kick and scream and it's loud and it can be physical and all those things, but they come out of it. They need time. They just need to be protected. They need a calm voice. It's a learning thing. It's a learning experience for them too. When they have those big emotions, how to I mean, for anybody, when you have
Mhm.
big emotions, it's like you have to learn how to calm yourself down. And that's just what they're doing. Yeah.
And tell us about your second book.
So, A Mermaid's Tale, that was the one
Yeah.
I started writing first years ago. And I just thought like, "Oh my gosh, Elena loves water. Like what a fitting setting for her." And and then I just recently finished that one in January. And it's about a mermaid who needs a wheelchair. But when she's swimming, she's fine. But when she's on land, she needs a wheelchair and she's kind of shy about it. So, yeah, she gets confidence from Elena. Elena gets confidence from her. And it's just so sweet and magical. And, like I said, Wyatt's there trying to help. And he's a little Eagle Scout too, a Boy Scout, so he brings all his camping gear to try to help them in the books, and so it kinda educates kids on that too, like outdoorsy activities and, tools that you can use for different things, and yeah, it's really cute. It's cute. Wyatt's school is actually passing it around to classrooms right now, reading it to, like, the general education classrooms, the
Awesome.
1st, 2nd, and 3rd graders. Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna ask you which grades it's written for. So first, second,
It's
and third?
it's kinder, so I would say kinder through 3rd,
Okay.
kinder through 3rd, and then, my gosh, any child that has a different ability, pre-K through not even pre-K, you know, from when they're little until preteen. I mean, um it's a little mature for, um, I would say, like, toddlers, but the elementary when I read to the elementary schools, those kids have the best questions after. I mean, yeah. "You mean so she can really talk and her device talks?" And, yeah, and I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, does she want us to use her device to talk to her?" It's like, "That's a really good question. She might let you use it to talk to her, but she can hear you, so you can just talk to her regular." And
Mhm.
they're like, "Okay." Like, they thought there was some kinda special way. Like, did they need a device to talk to back to her? No. Yeah, you know? And then they gave me book ideas, like, for future books.
Good.
Yeah, but they need to go skiing and they need to go, they need to go to the mountains. And I was like, I was thinking of the mountains, but thank you for telling me that. This is a
Well, she rides a
kindergarten.
horse.
Yeah, yeah,
Mountain's the horse, you know?
yeah. These were kindergartners, like, just,
That's awesome.
yeah. So now they know, and they have kids in their class that use devices. So they're like, "Oh, is that why he is holding that device?" Yeah.
What
So,
a breakthrough. That is such a
yeah,
breakthrough. And
yeah.
then they go home and they tell their parents, which is amazing.
Yeah. And they're so open, like, they want to know, they want to learn. They just don't know what questions to ask. So, through the
Well,
story.
Jesus said that if unless you have faith like the little ones, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven because he knew that the little ones wanted to learn things, right? So
Exactly.
that's
Exactly.
so true.
Because we want to learn. So, coming from a mom who's been doing this for now 13 years, um, I'm going to try to, with the whole series, just implement different things that I've learned about her and other kids with different abilities, and just keep sharing through storytelling.
That is amazing. And are there any other projects that you're working on that you're comfortable sharing with us right now?
Yes, there's one about going to the doctor. And so it walks through, it's actually for kids with sensory sensitivities, and it's geared towards them. So it's Elena and Wyatt's adventures, but it's about them going to the doctor and how to stay calm and what all these crazy things look like that are hanging on the walls that they want to put in your ears and your eyes. And, Wyatt's there with her and he's like, it's okay, you know, let's walk through this together. And then they have little visual cards of, the doctor appointment. Like, you're first going to go stand on a scale, then you're going to go, they're going to listen to your heart. And so these books will go to every child for their first doctor's appointment, and then they can bring them back whenever they want, whenever they need that sense of security. It's called a social story, but I put it in book form. So it's like Elena and Wyatt are going through the social story and explaining what it's like to go to the doctor. It's to ease their fears, and it's to help them understand and be prepared, and just to feel like confident that, okay, this is going to happen next. They're not going to stick that thing that's on the wall, like, it's not gonna hurt me. But yeah. Yeah, so that'll be out in April. So, I guess when this airs, it'll be available too. It'll be part of the series. Yeah.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
where else can we find your writing at? I heard you write for a newspaper?
So, it's a platform. It's called New Orleans Mom, and it's a social platform, and I share everything about special needs caregiving, um, what it was like when I first got her diagnosis for autism, um, the emotional side of things, vacations that work for us that are adaptive. I think I have like 22 posts there. But if you just go to neworleansmom.com, you can look up the special needs tab, or you can look up Dana Garrett, and then all of my posts will come up that I've published so far. And that I think that has really helped adults the same way like I'm trying to educate kids with disabilities and kids without. That's really helping adults like, okay, this is what she's going through as a special needs caregiver, even though they don't have a child with special needs. They're curious and they want to know because it better helps them help their friends who are caregivers, or even me. Like people that I'm friends with on social media, I'll share the post and then they'll read it and then they'll send me a private message like, wow, I didn't realize that. Like I didn't realize it was um those were the things that you had to go through that not a typical parent has to go through. And so then it develops compassion and empathy. And I mean, it's just another step towards acceptance.
I think it's good too that you share your story because then, I mean, you don't always know what your friends are going through, but then when you write, like when you write something as writers, we
Yeah.
write better than we speak, right?
Yeah.
Like people finally get clued in onto like maybe some opportunities for prayer.
Right. For sure.
Yeah,
Like, okay, this is what they're going through. And how can we pray for you? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so beautiful. What you're
Hmm.
doing is just it's so courageous, first of all. I was gonna ask you what you do to live your life courageously every day, but I think I know what you do. Or you're spreading the word, or you're a great advocate for children with autism, children with disabilities, and their parents and their caregivers, which on the next time we have you on, we'll talk about the caregiver aspect for sure. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with us today?
Really, I think for if there's readers that or listeners that do have child with special needs, just know that it's okay. The grieving process is okay. Just know that this is a journey that's going to be different. It doesn't mean that it's ended. And there's always hope. If your child is really struggling, I know behaviors are a huge struggle for parents like us. I just want them to know that there's hope and resources out there. And they can always message me and I will try to help and do my best to help them navigate this because
And we'll
I've
put
been
it
it.
in the show notes, but how can they best reach you, Dana?
So you can follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Randomly, I'll post on TikTok, but I'm 42 years old, so TikTok's a little out of my league.
Don't say that.
I try. But yeah, on social, yeah, you can, and then on Amazon, you can search for my name in the search bar, and yeah, I'm around.
Yeah, your books are available on Amazon. Are they on another platform too, or only Amazon?
No, right now they're just on Amazon. I'm working on that. That's the next step. We want to turn them into ebooks, and then I have somebody that's offered to translate it into Spanish.
Wow,
Yeah. So there's a lot there's a
that's
lot more to
fantastic.
come.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So be sure to follow Dana Garrett on social media, Facebook and Instagram, and also her author page on Amazon where you can grab her books. And we will have her back in a couple weeks where we're going to be talking about autism and carrying the
Caregiver.
courage to be a caregiver for children with disabilities. Thank you for joining us today, dear listeners. We know you have a lot of different podcasts you can choose from, and we are honored that you are here today. Thank you, Dina, so much for sharing your story and for Alina's story and Wyatt's story as well. This has been eye opening and just so inspirational. I just thank you so much. And until next time, dear listeners, keep living life courageously.